Hello everyone, we're glad to see you back for this year's final episode of Mental Health Mondays. I'm Alex Warman and this is my co-host, Brooke Burho.
This month we are bringing up a sensitive topic that is very important to discuss. Today we're going to learn about grief and how to cope with it.
Grieving is an unavoidable part of life, which is why it's so important to discuss it openly. That being said, if at any point during or after the episode you feel uncomfortable, please feel free to make your way down to guidance where there's a safe space for you.
To kick off this episode, let's talk about who is affected by grief. So Alex, what is grief?
Grief is the response to loss, particularly to the loss of someone or some living thing that has died, to which a bond or affection has been formed. It goes without saying that everyone is touched by grief in some way during their lifetime. In fact, for most of the population, grief is first experienced during adolescence, between the ages of 13 and 18.
For a lot of people, this could be losing a pet or a grandparent. It could also be dealing with challenges such as a loved one being sick or injured. Some people face other challenges though, like losing a sibling, friend, or a close relative.
And it doesn't make it any easier to deal with grief while you're already experiencing changes in yourself. Trying to navigate grief on top of discovering who you are as a person while also managing school and other matters can be extremely difficult. Grief can affect your body, cause changes in your sleeping and eating habits, and affect the relationships you have with other people.
As adolescents, we understand the concept of death, but not how we're going to handle it if it happens to someone in our life. Everyone reacts to grief differently, and most people don't know how to cope with it. So let's talk about normal and healthy ways to go through these hard times.
First of all, there's no normal way to respond to losing a loved one. Everyone needs different kinds of support and different coping methods. However, there are many things that you could do to make things easier.
For example, crying can be a great release of those pent-up emotions. It is proven that crying and sweating both help reduce cortisol levels in your body, which is responsible for how you feel stressed.
Exercising can have the same effect. That could even mean just going for a walk, a bike ride, or doing some yoga. Not to mention, fresh air can go a long way in helping you calm down.
Treat yourself to a warm bath, a cup of tea, your favorite food or show. Allow yourself to take a break and relax.
Another outlet for you could be support groups. You can go get counseling and talk about what you're going through. Sometimes, all we need to feel better is for someone to listen to us.
There are grief support groups in St. John, like Port City Counseling Services, which is available in the spring and fall. You can find other online groups and counseling through Miss Hovey or Mr. Kalman.
Remember, you don't need to be strong during these hard times. You're allowed to cry and you're allowed to give yourself some space to figure things out. Do what makes you feel better, as long as it's not harmful to yourself or others. Next, we'll jump into the misconception session. Welcome to this month's misconception session. When it comes to grief, there are many misconceptions about how you should handle it and how you should feel.
Many people are taught that expressing negative emotion is wrong. They think that it is not okay to be angry or confused.
That's entirely false. Ignoring those feelings will only make the grieving process more difficult. Also, when things go back to normal, are you expected to act like everything is perfectly okay?
No, grief can affect your whole life. Though it may get easier over the years, it tends to come back in waves, hitting you harder around the holidays or certain times of the year when it reminds you of the person you lost.
Grief can be unpredictable, and every single person handles it differently.
I feel bad being upset about my problems when I know other people have it worse.
But you shouldn't. Just because others have it worse, which isn't always true because everything has a different context, doesn't mean that your feelings aren't valid. You are just as important. Thanks for joining us on this month's misconception session.
And that brings us to the end of this month's episode.
We hope that we were able to give you all some more insight into what grief is and how it can affect us.
There are many healthy ways to cope with negative emotions. You just need to find the ones that benefit you the most.
We'd like to thank Miss Finnegan's Level 1 English class for putting together all the scripts for these episodes this year and working so hard to bring mental health awareness to the students of Hampton High.
Thank you all so much. Stay safe over the summer, Huskies.
Thank you so much for all of your support over the last 2 years. Remember that you are loved and that it is okay to not be okay.